Hi all, welcome to my channel, welcome to my world, the world away. And we now got pack 5 of the Agora Models presentation of Build the Shelby Cobra. Now, this is an empty box. I've got everything laid out. We're basically going to be completing all the suspension and we're going to be putting the wheels on as well. So we're now going to have a rolling chassis at the end of this. Let me just show you what we've done up to now. Now, we do have some details like the seats and the roll cage. We've also got 2 wheels here with the brake discs and calipers in there, ready to go. And we've also got the chassis with the engine that we've been working from. Now, if you remember in the last stage, we were on this one here, we actually installed this side here. What we're going to do in this one is we're going to be putting this one, and this one into place. And we're also going to be attaching all 4 wheels. We've got 2 more wheels coming in this pack. Looks absolutely amazing at the moment, doesn't it? And it's really quite heavy as well, but absolutely loving this build. If you want to get hold of this yourself, I've put the link down here for agoramodels.com. You can order this all the way from pack 1. They have got other things over on their channel as well. If you didn't see, I am building pretty much all of them. We've got the Bismarck, that's just come out with pack 1. We've got the Terminator, we've got the Shelby Super Snake, which is completed, as you can see up there, which is looking absolutely brilliant. The Zero Fighter's coming out shortly, and in the near future we're going to have the Jaguar E-Type and the Leopard tank. But we're working on the Cobra today, so without further ado, let's get cracking. So in stage 32 we're going to be working on another suspension section. So let's get all of these pieces out and I'll show you how this goes in. I've laid these pins out here so you can see there are different kinds of pins. See, I've got 3 8mm pins here. I've got 2 14.5mm pins, and then we've got a 12mm pin and a 10mm pin. So be aware that there are different sizes of the pins because it's going to help us later on. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the lower arm here and we're going to be putting that into this section like that and putting a pin through this side. Now, the pin that we're going to be putting through is the 8mm pin. So it's one of the small ones. And if you have a look here, as I said, you've got a rough side on one side and on the other side smooth. You put the smooth side in first, making sure it goes through the whole thing. So I'm just lining up these holes again, just like that. Oops, it's fallen out. And then just poking the pin through. And then all you need to do is push that pin home. I've got some small pliers here, really tiny ones these are. But when I hold them together, it does give a flat edge. So it's easy for me to push in just like that. We can put that just to one side at the moment and bring over the chassis. Now we're working on the rear section just here. So what we want to do is we want to take the shock absorber cylinder, looking like that, and that's just going to go in here. And once again, we're going to be putting a pin through this side. This time it's a 12mm pin. So this is the second longest one we've got. Now remember, when this goes in, you are actually holding this side of the brace here into position as well. So it's not just this detail that we're lining up, it's going to be the one further along as well. So that's through that side. I'll just line up the other side here, just like that. And then once again, use my flat side here just to push that all the way in. I've got some bigger ones just to help for that. There we go, and that's all the way in. So now this section's in tight, and so is the shock absorber cylinder. We're going to take the section that we just made, looking like that, and put the spring down just over that, and then this is going to go into the cylinder so it fits all the way. And then we're going to be attaching this just to the bottom of the chassis right there. Now that's going to take an 8mm pin, so I'm just going to line this up with my hands first. Hopefully you can see this. Get the pin in there, make sure it goes all the way through, and then once again I use my bigger pliers, I think, just to push that all the way home, just like that. So now that's connected at the bottom there. Now I'm going to turn this upside down because it's going to be easier to see what I'm doing now. We've got this arm that went underneath this section is going to be pinned into this section just here. Once again, that's going to be done with one of the 8mm pins here. I don't know which way, I don't suppose it matters which way you put it in. I think it's easier to put it in through this side. But there we go, that goes in just like that. Once again, feed it through, and then push that home. And you can also use the pliers a bit like this. I don't know if you can see that, to push that all the way in there. So now we've connected that in this position here and this position here. We can turn that back over again now and bring over the brake disc and caliper that we worked on last time. And then holding it this way round, we're going to want to offer it to this fork junction just there like that. Again, I don't know what camera can actually see this, but when we attach that, it's going to be attached with a 10mm pin. So I'll get that lined up, and I'll put a pin just through this side here till I can feel it going through the whole of the brake component there. And the pin is in just like that. I'm just going to press that in so it goes all the way through. All we have to do now is connect this to the top suspension mount and the lower suspension mount as well, and that's what we're going to be using the last pins that we've got, which are the 14.5mm pins. So what we do, line this up again and then put this through. So here's the first one. This is a lot easier than the first time I attempted this, so I'm guessing the more you practice, the easier it gets. So that's that one in, and I'm going to turn it upside down once again, very gently, just to put the bottom one in as well. So line it up, put that through this side here, and once again, actually I could probably use my bigger ones for this, just to close that in, just like that. Turn it back round. I can probably get a little bit more, the pin sticking out a little bit on that side there, so I can do the same on this side. And when that's in on both sides, as you can see, the top side's in and the bottom side, that's pretty secure on both sides. That's all there is to do in that stage. Now in stage 33, we're going to be working on the rear floor panel. Quite a quick stage this is going to be, but we have got plenty of screws, as you can see there. So I'll get these open. We've got OD05 screws, and then the one that's got loads in is actually OP08. So bringing the chassis over here just like that, this is going to go over the top. You see these two holes just here. We've got two holes in the same place here. We're going to line them up, put that over the top just like that. And what this is going to do is actually going to push down on this section here of the differential, because we are going to be attaching the differential, as you see, to these pits at the bottom there. So I'm going to get them lined up as well, just like that. Excellent. And the first thing we're going to be using is the OP08 screws, and that's going to go in 6 places. We've got 4 holes at the bottom there, and then we've got the 2 holes on the differential. So I think what I'll do, I'm going to pick it up from the bottom here, and I'll put the differential in first. So here's the first screw. It's going into plastic, that's why it's got a P in it, so there's no need to use any oil or anything on that. Now you will find just putting those 2 screws in on the differential there is really going to support and sturdy this whole section here. I've got 4 more screws just to put in this side. So that's one. I put one at the far side here. Look, I've got no rhyme or reason what order I'm doing this in. That's 2. I like how when you're adding these sections together, they feel quite loose when you're putting them in, but as the reinforcements come in and the structurals for the top and bottom mounts there for suspension, it really tightens it up, and then you can feel how sturdy this is actually going to be. I mean, when I was building that, you probably saw that the axle here fell out, but there's no chance of that happening now. But when they're in, that should look like that. We've got 2 more screws just to put into the top in these 2 holes, but they're different screws. They're the OD05 screws. Now this time they are going into metal, so I am going to drop these just in a little bit of oil there. So here's the first one. And again, you want to make sure this is really tight, and it will aid that structural integrity again. But just looking at this as a whole while I'm building it, it's very impressive, isn't it? Absolutely love it. But there you go, that's all of those screws in, and that's all there is to do in that stage. Now in the next few issues, starting from issue 34, once again we're going to be starting to create the rims and putting the tyres on. So I will have to get Mrs. Welder Wayne to bring me some boiling water up to do that. I'm a dab hand at that now, so we shouldn't really have a problem. But I'm just going to get these screws out. Now these screws I'm taking out here are OP03 screws. And all we're going to do is, with this side facing upwards, is just drop that over the lugs that we see inside like that, and then tighten it up with 4 of these OP03 screws. So here's the first one. There you go, nice and tight. I say that a lot, don't I? Here's the second one. Now when you're pushing those pins in that you saw at the start, just be careful with your fingers. Touch wood, I haven't had a problem, but if you watch the last Cobra build I did, I slipped, and I've still got the little injury to prove it. So just be careful. It is good to have some good quality pliers when you do that section, so you won't have a problem. But there we go, that's the rim on the interior there. So I've put my order in with Mrs. Welder Wayne for the boiling water, so we can get on opening pack 35. And that looks just like that. Once again, we've got a tyre which at the moment is rock hard. It's going to be soft soon. And we've got the other side of the rim here. We've got 2 lots of screws as well. We've got OD02 screws, and we've also got OP03 screws. So we take the rim that we worked on in the last side, and all we're going to do is we're going to be putting this side just over the top, lining it up with the 4 holes that we see there. Just like that. We don't want a gap between them, but we should be able to see all the way through, so we can put the screws in, and they are the OP03. It's going to take 4 of them. So there's the first one. There's the second. 2 more. Get them out the pack here. I'm going to use that word again. I love these builds for the fact that they give you a plethora. I love that word, plethora of spare screws. So here's the last one going in here. And that is the internal rim complete. All we've got to do now is put the tyre over the rim, but I can't do that until I get the boiling water. Here we go, this is the boiling water. Thank you very much, Mrs. Welder Wayne. Could you put it down there for me? That's absolutely perfect. Thank you so much for that. Appreciated. So we've got the boiling water. I'm just going to drop the tyre in there. Now in the instructions it says give it about 5 minutes. Now if the water is absolutely boiling like it is there, God, I need a new towel here. I've been using this for every build under the sun. If it's boiling water, I reckon a good 2 minutes should be suffice for that. So what I'll do is I'll come back in 2 minutes and I'll show you how we get this on. There we go, I think that's roughly 2 minutes. So what we'll do, I'm going to get my pliers to fish this out, otherwise you've got a good chance of scalding yourself, so be careful of this. It feels soft, so put it on, and as quick as you can, don't be afraid to go hard on it. Just like this, until you've got it all the way in there, all the way around. Just like this, you can see that one's in there. I'm just pushing it around the last bits there, just like that, and there we go. Simple as that. That's another tyre completed. I'm becoming a dab hand at that, aren't I? Now the good thing is I'm just going to put that water to one side, and what I am going to do is I've got stage 37 here. We'll come to that in a minute, but I will take the tyre out and put that in the water now. Now we're going to need the OD02 screws here, because we're going to be attaching the first tyre to the vehicle. So these screws I am going to drop in a little bit of oil. But what we need to do when we put the tyre on, this is the tyre that we've just made here. This side, as you can see, has got sort of like a rim on each side, or a channel on each side. That's going to mirror the channel that you can see just on the inside there on top of the brake disc. So what we do is line that up so it's going to fit perfectly flush in there. Just like that. Excellent. Get the OD02 screw, which I've got here, and that's going to go all the way through the center there. Starting it off slowly, screwing this in, and then gradually get that as tight as you can get it. Just like that. There's no wobble there, and that is the first wheel in, and it should still be able to rotate just like that. The last thing to do is we've got one of these spinners that we've had from the previous pack. We just put that over the top so it looks like that. That's all there is to do in that stage. Now stage 36 and 37, as you just got teased there, is exactly the same as what we've just done, so I should be able to whiz through it. What we're going to do, we're going to create another rim here. So I've got the rim, we have it this way round, drop it into place, open the OP03 screws up, and once again we need 4 of them just into these sections here. That's the first one in. It's very clever how I've got ahead of myself and put the tyre in the water already. Hopefully by the time we get to that stage, we will be ready to put the tyre over it. Now obviously the tyre that we're doing now is going to go onto the other side of the vehicle, what we just had. But we still need to bring the suspension that we've been working on in the first part of this pack to the 2 front tyres. But there we go, that's in place, and that's all there is to do in stage 36. So stage 37, we've just got the other side of the rim and the 2 tyres exactly like last time. So what we'll do is we'll line this up over the top here, the holes we're going to be putting this in, just like that. That's going to be secured in once again with OP03 screws, which I've just scattered to the 4 winds. 1, 2, 2 more, 2 more. That's 3, and finally that one's number 4. We'll get my got my cloth. I wonder where my cloth was then. Don't want my work surface to get wet. We'll fish out the tyre. Should be nice and soft now, and once again push this in just like this all the way. Get in there. Just like this, almost there. 2 more bits. There we go. Perfect. Check both sides to make sure it's all in. There we go. Once again, we're all good. That's another tyre completed. So what we're going to do, bring over the vehicle, and this time we're going to be working on, let's do it so you can actually see where we are there. There we go. So once again we're going to line up those channels with the channels that we got here. It's going to be going that way, and then we'll get an OD02 screw. Just need 1 of them, drop it in a tiny bit of oil there. And then we slowly start it off just on this side here. When we're happy we've got it where we want it, make it as tight as we can. And there we go, that's the two tyres in. As you can see, they are able to move, no problems at all. That's what it looks like on that side. Last thing to do, just grab the spinner. It's magnetic, fits over the top, so it looks just like that. And that's all there is to do in that stage. Now stage 38 is almost a mirror of where we started this pack. We're actually going to be making the components for the suspension for the front. So this time there are two different pins. We've got 7mm pins, we've got 9mm pins, so keep them separate. I'm just going to push all of these parts aside because we're going to be working on this side of the vehicle, and we're going to need this section just here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the shock absorber cylinder again, and that's just going to go into this top cross section that you can see just there. This is going to go in just like that, and that's going to be held in with a 7mm pin. Now the 7mm pins are the smaller ones here, so I'll just get them laid out here, and then once again I'll line that up. I'll put a pin just in this side here, so I'm happy it's going to go through both sections, and then I'll use my larger pliers here just to pin that together. Just like that. So there we go, the shock absorber's in place. We can just put that to one side just for a second because we're going to be assembling the next components now. We need to take the shock absorber piston and the lower control arm. This is actually going to go into the centre, those grooves just there. And once again, it's going to be held in with one of the 7mm pins. So once again I will put that in the hole in this side. Oh, that fell out then. Just seeing where the actual hole of this is so that I can line this up. There we go, the pin goes through pretty much first time. And what I'll do is I'll put that together with my mini pliers here to ensure that fits perfectly. Just like that. So that's in place. And then we've got a connecting rod which looks just like that, and that's just going to go into the top section here just like that there, and that's going to be held in once again with a 7mm pin. I'm going to put it in the same way we did the others there, so making sure it's the thick end that's down the bottom, want the thin end upright. Put that in again just like that. Once again I use my bigger pliers this time just to drive that pin home, and there you go. So now we've got the two control arms in there. Once again we can put that to one side. We're going to bring over the vehicle again, and we're working on this side again. This time we've got an upper control arm looking like that. I'm seeing if there's a difference, but it's pretty much symmetrical both way around. So what we're going to do is put that into these two sections that we can see just there. Now these are going to be held in either side with two 9mm pins. So I've got them here. Let's get the first one in. I'll go through this side just like that. So I'm happy that's home, and then we'll push that one in. Do the same on the other side. Can get a little bit tricky this, but as long as it goes through both sides should be good. And once again push it home from the other side, and there you go. When that's in, it should look just like that. And then exactly like we did last time, we're going to take the control arm with the suspension mounts on here, put the spring over the top. That's going to go into the top section of the suspension cylinder. Before we do that, we need to make sure that this section here is upwards, otherwise it's going to get trapped, which we don't want to happen. Make sure that goes all the way in, and then we're going to connect the bottom sections in here just like that to keep that all into place. Now they're going to be held in once again with 2 times 9mm screws. Probably going to be easier to do this upside down, but I'm going to try and attempt to do it this way. I'll get the first one in. I appreciate it's probably going to be hard to see this, so I think I will actually turn this upside down. It's going to be a lot easier to put this in this way round. Here's the second one. Make sure that goes all the way through. And then again, use your pliers just to drive that home. That's one. And two. There we go. That's into place. And that should look just like that. We then need to take one of the wheels, and it's obviously, we need to check which brake component section is once, because one's left side, one's right side. So you want the one that looks just like this. And we're going to be putting this control arm just here through the hole at the bottom of this section here. So I'll get that in now. Just like that. So that's going to sit on there. And if you can see here, what that does is it leaves this section open for me to put the top mount on between them there. So I'll put that on now. It's probably going to be easier to do this with your hand supporting underneath there so the vehicle's up. Now this is going to take one of the 7mm pins that you've got left. So I'm just trying to do this while holding everything together. I'm going to hold it with my left hand, I think. I don't think it's easy to actually use one of the tyres that we had last time just to rest that on. So that will keep that upright. So then we can put the other section in like this. I don't know if you can see this. I'm hoping you might be able to just see it just about on the side camera there. But that's all lined up there. Get a pin, put that through, make sure it goes through both sides, and then once again use your pliers to connect that home. I'll use my smaller pliers for this one. And there we go, that's in. And look how well and springy that suspension is now. Can you see that? That is excellent. Still able to turn, but there we go. That's in place. And that's all there is to do in that stage. Stage 39, complete mirror of what we've just done, but on the other side. So let's see how we get on with this. Basically, we're going to do exactly the same as last time. So we take the shock absorber cylinder, that's going to go into this section here. It's going to be held in with one of the 7mm pins. So once again, I'll line that up. Might be best actually to put it on its side there for this. Put the pin in. Make sure that goes through both sections. Use my pliers and bring that all the way home. Just like that. Put that to one side. We take the lower control arm again. We put this end without the loop at the top in the middle, and that's going to be held once again with one of the 7mm pins I meant. So that goes in just like this. Line it up till it goes all the way through, and then once again I'll use my bigger pliers on this. I get more leverage with this one, that's why I use this one. So that's in perfectly like that. Same thing with the top one here. That's just going to go on like that there with another 7mm pin. Put that through. We're whizzing through this now, aren't we? Just like that. Once again, piece that together. There we go. So that's the two control arms in there. Bring the vehicle across, because the last thing we need to do is just connect the upper control arm once again just into these sections here with two of the 9mm pins. So I'll just put one through this side here. I haven't pushed it all the way yet, just enough to keep it in. Then another one just at the other side here. And then once again, I'm just going to turn this around and tighten that with my smaller pliers this time. So as you can see, that one's now on no problems at all. And then just like last time, we're going to take the spring, put that over the top of the suspension cylinder, put that in like that, and then we're going to connect to the bottom section here, just to the bottom of the vehicle there, once again with 2 of the 9mm pins. So I'm going to turn this upside down because it's far easier to do this upside down, obviously making sure that the upper control arm is unrestricted to that area there. So I'm just pushing this in, there we go, so that I can fit the bottom of this just like that to the lower part of the chassis. And once again, that's going to be held in with 2 9mm pins, one this side and one the other side, and then just tighten that with my pliers here. And there we go, that's in. So I can turn that back over, and then finally, just like we did last time, we're going to offer the wheel this side, making sure that this section here is pointing upwards. Put the control arm through here. Again, looking at probably one of these cameras will show us something, hopefully. It's very hard to show. And then we're going to bring the top control arm down and putting our last 7mm pin just through the other side here to keep all of that into place. Then hold that into place, probably best with my smaller pliers. There you go, and there we go, that's the 2 tyres in. Obviously they're going all over the place at the moment because it's not attached to any steering, but we do have a rolling chassis which is excellent, and that's all there is to do in that stage. So I'm just going to put that just to one side just for a second, because the last stage we've got is stage 40, looking just like that. Get this open. And we're going to be putting some fender liners in here. We have got 3 lots of screws. We've got OP08, OD03, and finally we've got OD05. So bringing the vehicle over again, I'm going to have it this way round. So to me, this is the left side of the car. This is the right side of the car. We're going to be putting in this section that looks just like this. Now this is going to be going these 2 sections here. The easiest way to line it up, 2 holes are going to go over these 2 holes that we can see here. So if you line them up, everything else is going to line up for you just like that. Now we're going to be putting 2 OP08 screws in there. Rotating it around just a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. So here's the first one. Just supporting the car because obviously the suspension at the front, as you can see, very springy, but it's nice to see that it's working, which is excellent. And then here's the second one. So that's him. Now it's very hard to see, but right down the top of the engine, just here, we've got another screw hole, which we're going to be putting an OD05 screw in because it's going into metal. So I've got one here. I will put some oil on that. It's going to be really impossible to show you, so look at the picture and you'll be able to see that. But the only way to get it is just by going to the other side of, I think that's the alternator there. And there we go, that's that one in. And then basically we're going to do exactly the same just on the other side here. Do you love how that just collapses outwards like that? That's brilliant. Obviously you don't want to trap the battery wire here, so that's going to go in, lining everything up just like that. 2 OP08 screws just in here. So there's the first, there's the second, and then just like last time, another OD05 screw. I'm doing this more for me so I can see where I'm lining this up, all the way down this section here, just like that. Make that nice and tight, and that's those 2 sections in. All we have to do then, turn the vehicle over, because we've got to put the air intake panel in, and that's just going to fit onto this section here. We've got 2 lugs, as you can see here, with 2 holes. They're going to match the 2 lugs going in there, the 2 holes on top, just like that. And in this end, we're going to be putting 2 of the OD03 screws in. They're the silver ones. Once again, going into metal. I'll just drop that in a little bit of oil. Nice and tight. That's the first one in. Here's the second. And then the last 2 screws to put in, just into this side here, are once again the OP08. They're going into plastic so they can go straight in. Just supporting that from the bottom there as I marry those 2 parts together. That's the first one in. And here's the second one. And there we go. That is the completed bottom there. When I turn it over, all there's left to do is to put 2 OP08 screws in the top side here to secure that down into place. Looking absolutely brilliant. That is this completed pack. Haven't we done a lot in this, and how impressive does that look? Absolutely brilliant. I think probably in the next pack we're probably going to be putting the steering in, because at the moment, as you can see, the wheels can go all over the place. But it's nice to have a rolling chassis now. I love packs like that. Look at it. Look how that grew in one pack. Absolutely brilliant. I'm really happy. If you want to get this for yourself, once again, I've put the link down here to Agora Models. You'll be able to get this all the way from pack 1, or you can use the accelerated starter and get the first 4 packs at this time and catch up to where I am at the moment. But I really do hope you liked that video. If you did, please remember to give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed already, please remember to subscribe. Other than that, take care.